Hi, it's a Lipstick Gal. Thank you so much for watching today. I wanted to talk about beauty brands that kind of have me in a death grip, like I need to try it, and the ones that made me go, oh, okay. No, I feel like this is, I'm really not trying to be shady, but I thought it would be interesting to explain a few things, and maybe it helps me think it through, like why it is that I've lost interest in certain brands. There's a couple that I would say kind of still have my attention, I'm still willing to buy from, but it's just not as frequently as before. And then there are those brands like you release something new, I'm there. I want to know, I want to try. So let's start off with the brands that really have me by the lapels. Like every time they release something, I'm like, oh wait, what? When is that? That I set an alarm for it. Like I don't want to miss it. Now, I know that not all of us are as passionate as I am about makeup, and you may not be willing to get up at like whatever Greenwich time when Lisa Eldridge makes a lipstick launch. Like in the early days of Lisa Eldridge, I'll just say that's the first one. Lisa releases something, I needs must try. I want to get my hands on it. I want to try it. I am super excited to see what it is. Here's what's interesting to me is I used to set an alarm for like whatever like 5 p.m. Greenwich time was, like London time, and I'm on the west coast of the United States, so that I would not miss the launch. I have never missed the launch. I have never been the person late enough to the website that the shade that I wanted was sold out. If I want a shade, I've always been able to get it because I like set an alarm on my phone, I stalk the website, I reload, like I am waiting with bated breath. I have to have it. And I don't know what it is. It could be Lisa's aesthetic. It could be that I trust her so completely as a makeup artist. It could be that the way she does makeup and the way I like to wear makeup are regularly aligned. And here's where I'll tell you, like when I'm doing a video for YouTube, I wear a lot more here than I do in my daily. And maybe what I should start doing is having my daily kind of be reflected here. It's kind of like everyday boring makeup. It's not, and not that this is an exciting look, but you know, I use several eyeshadows to do this. I've got, you know, like highlight, blush, and bronzer on. Like sometimes I'm just like, is it just blush today or is it just highlight? Like sometimes I don't put anything, or am I taking what's on my lips and tapping it here? So I feel like Lisa's kind of pared down daily, like when she does a get ready with me, or she does she did one recently where she was talking about kind of like a bronzy summer look. That's the sort of makeup I want to wear in real life. And I feel like when I have all the beauty lights on, if I wear makeup like that, I get washed out. So I feel like our makeup aesthetics are aligned. She likes the same types of products that I seem to like. And even though she's a little bit older than me, she's in her 50s and I'm almost in my 50s, I'm 48. I feel like we have similar requirements for skin, and I want things to work well and last well. So anytime Lisa releases something, I'm like setting an alarm on my phone so that I don't miss it. I'm like, okay, let me put it in. And I feel like that's one of the brands that I cannot not know what's going on. Like I need to try it. I have to try it. Another brand that I literally will set an alarm for is Sydney Grace. Now, Sydney Grace is an indie brand. I have a huge Sydney Grace playlist. I have a Lisa playlist too. I'll link them in the description boxes down below if you want to fall down like a product rabbit hole with me. But what I love about Sydney Grace is the eyeshadows. I'm wearing Sydney Grace eyeshadows today. I love them. I found that although their formulations are good for other products, my favorite products from them are eyeshadow, either in the pressed pan, like either like a dedicated palette where they create a color story, their shadow singles, or their cream shadows. I'm not saying that the other products aren't good. I think they're good, but the ones that really have me by the lapels and I can't stop buying them are the eyeshadows. So those are the ones where, you know, they release a new palette, you know, I set an alarm. Like the last palette they released before their Christmas and July sale was a Glitzy Fritzy. I set an alarm. And I set an alarm for like 8:45 every morning during their Christmas and July sale. That's how much I love the brand. I'm willing to do that. It has me excited. I feel like I fall into that creative playtime with makeup with both Lisa's brand and with Sydney Grace. And I think that's kind of what I'm craving right now. Life is busy, life is difficult, there's a lot of extra stresses, and when I sit down at my vanity, I just want to have fun. And those two brands create that environment of fun for me. All right, now these next brands are ones that I realized I fell in love with because I did a deep dive where I said, I'm gonna try like some brands, one of everything. And I really, really love that. It was a great way to commit, okay, I'm gonna spend X number of dollars and I'm gonna get as much of a full face as I can. First one I'll tell you, Merit. Merit has my heart. Every time Merit releases something new, I have to try it. I love everything I have from Merit. Some things took a little time to figure out, like me and the blush balm. We took a minute to get along. We're getting along great, and I really like the formula, but it was, for me, it was application. But I'll tell you, I'm addicted to the Minimalist. This is the only foundation in my entire collection that I have 2 shades of. Like, I am not the 2 shade sort of person. I'm either you work or you don't. But this one, it's so good on my 48-year-old skin. And as somebody who's dealing with, you know, under eye crepiness, somebody who's dealing with loss of elasticity, somebody who wants to, if I put too much powder on my face, I look kind of flat and dry. I need a little bit of glow, but not too much. I need a little bit of shine and reflectivity, but I don't want to look like a greased up pig. Like, there is that balance of just enough, not too much. And I feel like Merit does it. And Merit does what I think maybe Glossier is for a younger audience. A little bit of makeup that makes you look like a better version of yourself. Not a Pat McGrath made up version of yourself. Although I love Pat, but Pat is very much, let's throw all the glitter, all the sparkle, all the black eyeliner, like more is more. And I love that, but that doesn't always read well on mature skin. And for me, Make is the perfect brand for, you wanna look like a better version of yourself without looking too made up. And for a day when I gotta go, I find it's interesting that I'm always reaching for Make products. And every time they release something new, I'm like, wait, excuse me, what? That's another brand that I'm willing to set an alarm for. Here's another one that I did the same thing with, and that is Make Beauty. Their last 2 releases, I did a full face of Make Beauty at the beginning of this year, I think. And then when they released their Cream Supreme lipsticks, I set an alarm. I didn't want to miss it. I wanted to try it. And when they set their like eyeshadows that come in a stick form, I picked one of those up. Like, I have been, not everything is like the best thing for me in my makeup aesthetic, but overall the brand makes me excited and it keeps me coming back. But I figure, like, Merit's a slightly smaller brand, Make is a slightly smaller brand, Lisa Eldridge and Sydney Grace, they're smaller brands. I am not going for those big, huge, like massive names in the makeup space right now. I'm really going for smaller brands, and I think that's interesting. Here's another one that I have been loving, and I love that I can try it out at Sephora, and that's Danessa Myricks. Okay, I don't have a ton of Danessa Myricks products, and I feel like there have been some products that I've tried from Danessa that are flat out didn't work for me. Like her, what is it, the little crystal flakes that come in the really beautiful jar. Loved the look of those. I could never get them to work for me, but I'm not a makeup artist. And I think that if I had the right technique and I was willing to rock like a super spangly eye all day, it would have been fine. I just never figured it out, and I felt like it dried up kind of quickly, but the ideas make me excited. The idea of her Color Fix pigments, the idea of her balm blush and balm powder, like those sorts of things, they're very different and kind of exciting. I don't have a ton from Danessa, but I am forever like I'll fall down our Danessa Myricks rabbit hole, open up the Instagram account, and just like, oh my goodness, or I'll watch a video, and it's just fabulous. It's a sort of makeup that makes me excited to play in makeup. There's a couple of brands that I still love and that I still buy things from. And my criteria is, what am I willing to set an alarm for and get really excited about and makes me feel happy and like my heart all fluttery? And then what are the brands that I don't have that with? And there are 2 brands that are luxury brands that are kind of in the middle, where I don't buy everything new that they release, because sometimes I'm like, eh, and sometimes it just grabs me and I have to know. One of them is Pat McGrath, because I feel like, and I could be wrong here, and it could be my lack of makeup artistry skills, but I feel like a lot of Pat McGrath is centered around the eyes. Like those palettes, those eyeshadow palettes, the Mothership palettes are stunning, but at a certain age, those textures aren't as stunning on the eyelids. Or they, and again, lack of skills, I am dealing with glitter fallout and I don't have time for that. Like, I don't want to work that hard. So I love the look of Pat McGrath makeup. Like when they do a release campaign and they have all of those gold sequins, which I know are totally wasteful, but they're everywhere and everything just looks so opulent. Sign me up. My heart goes pitter pat. I get super excited. I want to know more. And then I start looking at it and I start asking myself, is this, first of all, going to work for my daily makeup aesthetic? Not all of it. Second of all, do I already have something like this? I feel like a lot of those Mothership palettes, there are a lot of ideas that keep coming back and slightly tweaked. I don't want to say that they're putting out the same thing over and over and over again, because I know there's a difference. And sometimes it's those nuancy differences that really pull me in, like a Eldridge lipstick. How many reds does she have? And I have every single one of them, and they're different. And somebody might be, that's just a red lipstick. And to me, I see the nuance difference. So I know that there's a lot of nuance in those releases from the brand. And I really love the more is more aesthetic from Pat McGrath. Love so much. But the truth is, there are some big hits for me from the brand. I love the blush, I love the highlight, I love the bronzer. And then there are some, and it, again, could be my lack of skills. But that's one of those brands where I am excited and then I go, but wait. I don't like instantly set an alarm. I actually start thinking, okay, what's worked and what hasn't, and is this going to be one of those things that works? The other brand that's like that for me is Charlotte Tilbury, because I feel like there has been a shift. When I first started buying Charlotte Tilbury, there were no foundations, there were no concealers, there was the magic cream, there were some lipsticks, there was a powder, and she had just come out with eyeshadow quads. And it was like, ah. And then the brand started expanding. So I have been, not from the beginning, but I have been loving Charlotte's products for a long time. I remember being addicted to that Airbrush Flawless Finish powder. I still have one, I still use it. I like the one that's the brightening version a little bit better, because it's her lightest version of the Airbrush Flawless is too dark for my under eyes, but the brightening one is magical. Love. I feel like sometimes foundations can work really well or not well. I love her Light Wonder, and I really like the Charlotte's beautiful, what is it called? I have it right here. Beautiful Skin Foundation. I feel like there are some products that work well for me, but there are other ones that just don't. Like the Magic Foundation didn't work for me, and the Airbrush Foundation is just a little too much coverage. Not that they're not good products, but it's not the way I like to wear makeup. So sometimes I have to sit back and evaluate, like, what's gonna work for me. I'm less likely to plunk down my dollars on an eyeshadow palette from Charlotte, not because they're not quality, not because they don't lay on the eye beautifully and aren't mature skin friendly. I just feel I already have the color stories that I want, and it would take a lot to get me at that $50 what price to buy 4 itty bitty teeny tiny little eyeshadows. I'm more likely to spend the $50 what on a full palette from Sydney Grace, or a bunch of singles from Sydney Grace that also do wonders for the textures on my eyelids. I just have to be really careful, and Charlotte has released a lot of things. I feel like the new release of that blurring kind of liquid lipstick, that's not my thing. It's been easy to say no to a lot of things, but I have been in love with her Matte Beauty wand, like her blush wand. Obsessed. I love her bronzers. I feel like the bulk of her bronzers, whether they come in a, instant look in a palette, or the Film Star Bronze and Glow, or the standalone bronzers, I feel like most of her bronzers and highlights work well for me if I get the right shade. I feel like she does that kind of really beautiful glam, glowy, not no makeup, and not like Pat McGrath, spangled, glittered, artistry with crazy eyeliner to the max. She's somewhere in the middle where it's a little bit more, it's obviously event, or it's obviously I'm made up, but it's not so much that it's overdone. It always looks gorgeous and beautiful. And that's what I want to look like. So Pat and Charlotte have my attention, but then I have to start asking myself those crucial questions. Is this going to work for me? Do I wear this type of product? Is this where I'm wanting to spend my dollars? But they still do kind of like, I sit up and I pay attention. Now here are the brands. And I don't want you to feel like if it's your favorite brand or you love something from it, that I'm saying it's a bad brand. I'm not saying it's a bad brand. I'm just saying for myself, my makeup preferences have changed enough. The way I wear makeup, the way I consume makeup, the way I talk about makeup. It can't just be everyday run-of-the-mill makeup, because I have so much. Something that really needs to grab me, and really, like pull me in. These are the brands that don't do it for me. And they used to, because I used to buy everything from some of these brands. All right, first one, Too Faced. Do they still make fun and beautiful products? Yes, they do. When was the last time I bought a Too Faced product? I think it was January of 2020. It's been 3.5 years since I bought anything from Too Faced. And to me, that's what it comes down to. The last time it was their Born This Way Natural Nudes eyeshadow palette, which I like. I feel like mine's probably expired now because it doesn't have the same sort of pigmentation when I lay it down, and the flaky shades are a little bit crumbly when I used it last. But I love the color story and I love the idea behind it, and I feel like it's a really beautiful, beautiful palette and great for every day. But before that, I remember when I was buying, you know, all the chocolate bar palettes. I had all of them. I had the chocolate, the semi-sweet. I picked up the chocolate gold. Like I had everything. I had the little one named after the dog, which I forget his name right now. I had like the peach. Oh my goodness, remember the peach stuff? I had the face palette, the eye palette, the lip products. Like you name it, they sold it. I had it. And if you dig in my videos, you'll find it somewhere. I used to love Too Faced, and I don't know whether getting older, I have grown out of kind of like that cutesy packaging. That still gets me sometimes. So I don't know that it's that. I just feel like I had this moment where I didn't know whether this eyeshadow palette was going to perform like this eyeshadow palette, because this formula was great. And then this was like powdery, crusty, dusty. It was like chalk. And I was like, So I felt like they got to be unreliable with me. It wasn't solid every single time. And the minute you start getting like, is it gonna work? Is it not gonna work? Have you done it before? Do we need another one? I lose interest. And so I lost a lot of interest in Too Faced. Another one that I lost interest in is Tarte. I used to have like foundation, powder, concealer, eyeshadow palettes. You remember those huge blush palettes you could get at the holidays where there was like 10 different shades? Like I would buy those. I was that person. And I loved Tarte so much. I loved a lot of their lip glosses, their matte lip pencils. Like, dude, I loved Tarte, and I spent tons of money on Tarte. And I cannot remember last time I bought anything from Tarte, because every time I look at it, I feel like either I have a better version of it from a different brand, or it doesn't grab me by the lapels. It doesn't literally reach to the screen and be like, you need to get me. I don't know what it is. I feel very underwhelmed. And this is not to say that those kind of basic eyeshadow palettes or really run-of-the-mill colors of blush or really hero concealers or foundations aren't good products, because they are. But as somebody who is kind of makeup obsessed around, I want to know what's new and cool. And it's been a long time since Tarte has made something that has really made me sit up and take attention. Well, you know, I did buy the Tarte Lip Tubing Mascara. That's the last time I bought something from Tarte, but it's not like I needed everything. I wanted to try this one product that everybody was talking about, and it's good. Is it my favorite tubing mascara? No, but she's not bad. Urban Decay is like the perfect example to me of a mind shift. And I think part of it comes from the fact that the person who created the brand sold the brand. And it, you know, now Wendy's over making Cali Ray stuff. Not that I'm like clamoring for everything from Cali Ray, but I would be more likely to buy something from Cali Ray than I would be from Too Faced. I feel like the brand has lost a lot of its allure. When they first launched, I remember getting, it was really silly, but there was a lip gloss that came in this little clear pot that the lid screwed on, and it had a tassel on it. And I had to stick my finger in there to apply said lip gloss, but you betcha I did. I had another palette that was kind of really thin and clear plastic that had like little shades in it, some lip products, some eye products. It was weird. I don't know where I got it from, but I remember being in love with that. And then they came out, I feel like they kind of brought on the whole eyeshadow palette craze with the Naked palette. You remember how we were just like gaga for the Naked palette? And then after that, hit after hit after hit, like they really had us in a chokehold. I really feel like they changed the beauty space completely. Their 24/7 eyeliners, their lip liners, like they did stuff right. And then I remember when they reformulated and relaunched all of their Vice lipsticks. Oh my goodness, I bought so many. So I've loved Urban Decay products for such a long time, but I can't remember the last time I bought an Urban Decay product. Like I will go in and, you know, oh look, they have new kind of liquid cream blushes in a tube, and I swatched them this year and I was like, I don't have to have it. It seemed kind of forgettable to me. And I don't remember having that sort of feeling. I remember being so excited about what Urban Decay was releasing from the very early days to when they were just like hitting their strides in the early 2010s and just like putting out new stuff, and we all just had to have it. I feel like it went the same way for me that Too Faced did, where I was like obsessed, and now I'm like, eh. And it could be that I'm in a different place, but I also feel like the vision has changed. And I think part of it is we're looking for different sorts of makeup items. And not that those Too Faced products aren't good, they just don't grab me. I don't need them. Last one I'm gonna talk about is Anastasia Beverly Hills. And I feel like a lot of this change happened like just pre and during the pandemic. And I'm wondering if I'm getting my timing right. But before the pandemic in 2019, oh my goodness, I had the Jackie Aina palette. I had all of the palettes. I was a dedicated ABH Brow Wiz user, clear brow gel user. Like you could not get me to try. I would try and be like, it's not as good as, like I have been devoted for years to ABH products. I have sold my mom, my cousin, my best friends. Like I will take them to Ulta or Sephora. Let's find you the right shade of brow products. And what do you like? Do you want a pencil? Do you want a skinny pencil? A chubby pencil? Do you want a brow powder? Like I literally, that was kind of like where I went. Like benefit who? Let's ABH it. And I really felt like for the longest time, they were the sort of brand, new eyeshadow release, new lip product, I would set my alarm for it and I would buy it. I don't do that anymore. The last thing I purchased was the Nouveau palette, and that was, I think, summer last year. And I like it and I still use it, but I haven't reached for it in a while. And when they came out with their Cosmos palette this year, I was like, eh. And I think what happened for me was when they started launching those Norvina palettes, like little 9-pan palettes and the large pigment palettes, the orange one, the green one, the blue one, the lavender one, I was just like, oh, I love the original Norvina that had, was it 12 or 14 shades in it with the brush that was kind of like that lavender or periwinkle sort of velvet on the front. Loved that palette so much. But then when Norvina kind of split off and it was like the Norvina brand, it's not the sort of makeup I wear. It was definitely for a younger audience who wanted to do more really bold and pigmented looks. That was not doing it for me. And somewhere in there, I kind of fell out of love with the brand. And I remember having a really bad experience with their matte lipsticks when they launched them in the, 2017, 2018, I don't remember when it was. So when they reformulated and came out with satins and mattes, I was like, couldn't pay me. I am not buying an ABH lip product. I still won't try it. And I'm sure they're probably perfectly good, but I have not bought like cheek products. I really haven't. Nothing has really pulled me in, and there have been some really beautiful launches. I remember being excited about a highlight launch maybe a year or two back. I remember being interested when they dropped cream products like bronzer, blush, and I hear they're good. I just don't have to know for myself. And even when I go into store, I have an Ulta here in town that I can go into and swatch ABH stuff. I feel like the only thing that might still kind of grab me is either if they have a new palette that I want to swatch and see, like I did go and swatch the Cosmos palette, it's like, I don't need it. Or if I'm still recommending a brow product for a friend. Although there are other products that I love and use for my brows. I don't know the last time I had an ABH product. Oh, I think I still have their brow pen, but I used to go through Brow Wiz after Brow Wiz, and I just can't tell you the last time I did. So I think it's really interesting. And I think now as I'm thinking about it, part of it is the larger my collection has gotten, the more things I, as an individual, have been able to sample and try. And then I'm able to form a more informed decision of what works for me, what my preferences are, what I want to use, what I'm looking for pigmentation, for longevity, for ease of use, for me as an individual. And that's different for all of us because that is all very subjective. And then beyond that, I feel like when a brand kind of loses what makes it interesting and unique, that little sparkle, that little thing, I don't know. And maybe it was a season and the brand is over. And maybe it's not just with me, but with a wide variety of people. Or maybe they just need to have a renaissance. I don't really know what it is yet, but I think it's interesting. Certain brands, kind of smaller, more indie brands, kind of really have my attention. And then some of these larger brands that are really well and established, I'm kind of like, Too Faced released holiday stuff. You know, I don't have to have it. I don't. And I think that's really interesting. I would love to know what brands do you absolutely like stop the presses, you stop everything and you get on board with? Which ones are those? Is there something that has just made you like a super brand loyal fan? What brand is that and why? Or if there was a brand that you used to love and when you sit down and think about it, when was the last time I made a purchase from the brand and you can't remember? Which brand is it and why? I would love to know. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope this was fun. I'm not trying to be mean or shady. I'm just trying to think about how I use makeup and what kind of excites me. And I know I'm a very different customer than the average makeup consumer because I'm looking for the new, I'm looking for the exciting. I've tried a lot of stuff. There's so much stuff out there that I've tried and I've been like, it's okay, but I'm always looking for the next great thing. Let's talk about it in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Have an incredible day, and I will see you again soon.